Hello, this session will be focused on developing a shared vision of a student. This comes from NCSM, the National Council of Supervisors of Mathematics, Essential Action Number 1, to define and develop a shared vision of high quality teaching and learning. In this session, we will consider what our vision of a math student might consist of and develop a plan for how you can create a shared math profile for your students with stakeholders. Before we define and develop a shared vision for high quality teaching and learning, we should ask ourselves, what is the math profile of a student when they leave our school? What do we want them to have? Additionally, does what we want them to have, what vision we want them to have, does that match the vision of the schools the student has previously attended or will attend in the future? And does our vision match what students will do after they graduate high school? In September, we discussed what we, as administrators, wanted in our students. We wanted them to be well-rounded in all math areas. We wanted them to be resilient. We wanted them to have stamina and perseverance, that they could embrace productive struggle. We wanted them to know what career paths were open to them. That's what we as administrators wanted. But is that what everybody else wants? Is that what a family wants for a child? Is that what a community wants from its citizens? Is that what an employer wants from their employees? Is that what a teacher wants in a student? All of this is interconnected, and that's why we create a shared vision. Something you may have noticed about the list we created in September when we talked about what is the profile of a student is that we listed qualities, skills, and attributes. What we didn't list were content standards. This is important as we talk to other stakeholders in our community about what they want from a student and what role math plays in the process of what they want. Something you may or may not be familiar with is that what kept coming up was the 8 mathematical practices. And this may help as we develop a shared vision of a student. The 8 mathematical practices are from the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. There are many ways to phrase the 8 mathematical practices. The one you'll see on the screen here is written in the form of an I can statement from the student's perspective. Take a minute and read through each of the mathematical practices. What do you notice? What do you wonder? What might you add to this list? What might you create or articulate further in some of these skills? Your first assignment, and yes, you will get assignments, a couple of them, will be to create a math profile for your students at your school. You'll do this with a couple of your stakeholders. That could include parents, that could include community members, board members, district employees, teachers, certified staff, classified staff. This can be as complex or as simple as you'd like it to be, but they will sit down and have this conversation about what we want our students' math profile to look like when they end up leaving your school. I've provided a document on the website that can guide that thinking. So it can, and you don't have to use the document, but it can give you ideas about what you would have that look like. Basically, there's a couple pieces to that: a brainstorm, kind of like what we did in our first meeting, and then looking up, seeing if anybody else has anything on the web on the internet that you may want to include as a profile item, and then trying to refine and articulate what those attributes and qualities might be, and then brainstorming that together and sharing what you've got. So that would be the form, and it would be due on November 1st. If you would just send me a copy of that, then that can lead and direct kind of what we're going to talk about as far as high quality instruction and learning. Hopefully that profile will help your teachers, your staff, uh, know where they want to focus. Once we know what we want in the profile of a student, we can then develop a shared vision for high quality teaching and learning. I would suggest that once we have an understanding of what we want a student to develop, the vision for teaching and learning will really be clarified. While many of our stakeholders will be involved with creating a math profile of a student, it will be the task of you as the administrator and your teachers to develop the vision of teaching and learning and what that looks like in the classroom to accomplish that math profile. Once we have a math profile of our students, we'll go more in depth with how we might develop high quality teaching and learning in our schools. As a reminder, your first assignment is to create a math profile of your students about what you want them to, what skills, qualities, attributes, possibly even content you want them to possess. Once you've done that, if you would send it to me before the 1st of the month, meaning the 1st of November. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me. This is my email and my cell phone number. This also completes this session.